Welcome back to the show, friends. Today's episode of the Dream Doers podcast is a full circle moment I never saw coming, but in the best way. I'm joined by Bethany Shipley, a former client of mine who found me through a Google search over a decade ago to photograph her wedding. And today she's interviewing me on my own podcast. From booking me to interviewing me, this moment is as surreal as it is special. Bethany is a bold communicator, business mentor, and host of the Bethany Shipley Show podcast. She's built a life that empowers others to chase freedom and abundance with clarity and courage, and getting to watch her step fully into that calling has been such a gift. Back then, our conversation was all about her story and vision. Today, the roles haven't so much reversed as they've evolved. This time, she's drawing my story out. And of course, it wouldn't be a real life entrepreneur moment without barking dogs, a dying laptop, and a frantic charger hunt mid-recording. But in between it all, we dive deep into what it means to build a business with staying power, not floating from one idea to the next, but embracing change while staying grounded through growth. So if you've ever wondered what it looks like when a dream comes full circle, or how relationships and ripple effects can span a decade and still surprise you, this one's going to speak straight to your heart. Don't forget to subscribe to our channels at thedreamdoers.podcast and at Bethany J. Shipley, which you can find in the show notes. And here we go. Bethany and I are diving straight in. Oh, I didn't realize you could record. Is that a paid thing?
No, it's Google Meet is the best. Can I just shout out Google Meet real quick as we're getting started? And you can edit this out or you can keep it in. I don't even care.
I'm a huge Google person, so tell me more tricks.
Okay, so you create if you have Google appointments, people can book you, obviously, and you can tell it to add a Google Meet. And when you tell it to add a Google Meet and you record it, what Google does in all of her infinite wisdom is she uploads that recording later to the calendar invitation, or like the calendar appointment, as an attachment. So seriously, so in about 4 hours after we're done recording, this is going to show up in the same little appointment that was on both of our calendars.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll both have access to it forever.
And that was so I noticed when I was booking with you, the calendar was from Google, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen someone use Google's like scheduling. And so all of it, and again, I'm obsessed with Google. So for me to learn something new, I'm going to get really excited.
I'm sure there's so much that I don't know, but everything that I do know, I tend to overshare about it because it's changed my life. Speaking of,
I do too. And everyone's like, do you work for them? I'm like, no, but I should, because I will sell you the moon, because if something affects my life and gives me balance back, most importantly, I will talk about it all day.
Totally. Well, and a system like Google that has so many features and then they communicate so well with each other, I think that's what sets Google apart.
Yes. Yes.
Hey, if Google wants to sponsor us today, just feel free. We know you're watching this anyway, so.
You have big fans here at Google.
Yeah, we are huge fans. Okay, so more importantly, let's dive in. Jana, the one and only Jana Marie. I met you. What would it have been? It would have been about 13 years ago.
Yeah.
That I went on to probably Google, speaking of, and said photographer in Kansas City, and scoured the internet. I was that person. I had interviews. I was like, we didn't have much money, but the majority of our budget was going to go to photography because I just wanted great pictures. Yeah. And it was an instant yes for me. I think we got on Skype, actually.
Oh my gosh. Well, I feel so much more honored that you said you scoured through so many.
Scoured.
Oh, that makes me feel really special.
Yeah, I mean, you're super talented at what you do, many things that you do, but photography. I mean, clearly you have a gift. You've sustained yourself with it being your primary gig, right?
Yeah.
So let's just start there. Like, take us back to the beginning of your photography business, starting your photography business, and kind of what led you to do that. Like, how did you even get to that? And what was that like?
Geez. Okay. I went to college for visual communications, which is essentially graphic design. And then I got a second degree in studio art with an emphasis in photography. We did not have a photography major, but I knew I would want to open a photography business later in life. But when I graduated, the economy was tanked. And every graphic design job I applied for or tried to get, everyone said, sorry, you're going to have to go with option B. I kept hearing that. And I was like, well, what's option B? I tried to hire people to get me jobs. And they were like, there are no graphic design jobs. What else could you do? And I was like, well, everyone's getting married. And they were starting to ask me to shoot things anyway. And I said, well, why not now? So directly out of college, I started my photography business. And I've never done anything. I mean, I do other side jobs, but I've always worked for myself as my primary full-time job.
And so did you already have a camera, or was that an investment you had to make?
I mean, I had film cameras because when I started, it was that long ago. So my first wedding I ever shot was in film. I had like 35
That's
rolls and I was
literally terrifying.
yeah, every 20, 25 pictures, I'm like swapping it out and I'm a nervous wreck because not only am I young, but I didn't know any of the structure of a wedding. So I remember showing up to the family portrait session and I was like, I don't have a list. That would have made sense. I don't know who's who. I was just winging it. But when you're a natural people person and you're a problem solver, I just made it work. And then because one person saw that, then it's like the ripple effect. And the next person said, well, will you do mine? And I never wanted to do weddings. I always thought I would be like a National Geographic or a travel photographer, go work with nonprofits. But that was what was coming and it just snowball affected. And then, portraits naturally came in with weddings. And I really enjoyed it. And it was the season of life where all my friends and people were getting married. So I essentially had front row seats to my friends' most intimate moments. And the storytelling aspect is what I loved. So I just kept going with it. And here I am, 20 years.
With going with what's working. And yeah, here you are. How long? 20 years, you said?
20. Well, actually, I think 22 was when I did my first film wedding, but I've been in business since 2009.
Okay. Amazing. Wow. Okay. And so have you experienced, I'm guessing, ebbs and flows?
I mean, yes, like anything, but I hear a lot of very big stories from other people in the industry. And I'm like, thank God. I literally have God on my side. I pray for all my couples and all my wedding days. So I've only had one day that it like rained or had something big, but I'm not exaggerating when I say during portrait time, I just need 5 minutes and the clouds parted and the sun came through. It was during a massive storm on the East Coast. And I was like, man, it is so good to have like the maker of the universe on your side because I've had really, and I knock on wood every time because if I keep speaking this out, something's going to happen eventually. But all of my couples have had stories like yours that it was just so like intimate and personal and lovely and the weather was great. And I just joke with my clients meeting with me. I'm like, well, good weather follows.
This is something that I bring to the table. You will have good weather on your wedding day.
Yep. I mean,
well, it's true because our wedding day, I don't know if you remember this. It was October, I think it was 12th. October 12th. We had a baby on the October 11th. So now our anniversary is just kind of like whatever.
on the back burner.
It's totally on the back burner. I remember after I gave birth to Mac, I was like laying in bed and I had him at home. And I said, Eli, you're going to have to go down to the basement and like up in the corner of the basement is a little anniversary gift. It was like a shirt or something, but he had to go get it himself because like I couldn't walk down there.
Love you. Here's a baby. Also.
Yeah, here's a baby for our anniversary. No, but that day it was actually looking like it was going to rain for a while, and then that night it stormed.
Yeah, but so, day when we needed it to be great, God's like, I got you.
It was perfect, and yeah, you just crushed it and did such an amazing job. I remember coming to your house. I don't know if it's the same house that you live in now. No, I came to your house and we saw our wedding pictures on your TV. I think it was like you had hooked it up, and it was like a whole experience.
Party.
It was a viewing party, and it was intimate. Like I think I didn't react as much as I felt because it was so personal. Yeah. Like it was like, oh my gosh, like this is like such a huge day and you crushed it. And here I am on your huge TV. And, you just got to get that moment of like, but
Well,
it was
and
amazing.
that is something so special I wanted to do with my clients, but I did stop doing that for that reason. I said, this is a moment that's reserved for them.
Mm.
And so while I have all these cool ideas of ways that I want to serve my clients, I'm like, they might not want to be served that way. So now I do things much more intimately for them, and let them laugh or cry or, have a pizza and wine night and watch them however they want. And that's still special.
That's so cool. And how, like, that is perfect leading into kind of my next acknowledgement of you and also question, which is you had an idea and you took action on it. You're like, I'm going to do this viewing party. And then you did it. And I was like, that maybe wasn't exactly what I had envisioned. It was too personal, too vulnerable, whatever. How quickly do you change route when you feel like it needs to be done?
Oh, girl, I talk about this a lot. This is why my podcast is The Dream Doers. So many people come to me and they're always like, how, why? And I'm like, you just have to do it. There's a reason why Nike is so successful. Just do it is so accurate. Like the last episode I recorded, it's just do it imperfectly, do it poor, do it with what you have, like just do it. And I reference a lot. My podcast revolves around like storms and facing the storms and getting through the storms and like, rainbows. And there's so much of me that connects with just Mother Nature and the sky. I mean, it's just all encompassing. It's all powerful. So I reference ships a lot. So one of my favorite quotes, which I cannot quote perfectly, but it's something along the lines of, it is easier for your captain, and for me, that's God. So it's easier for God to steer a moving ship than one that's sitting in the sand. So if you can just dive in whatever way possible and literally just let things evolve. You start your business, you have one idea in mind. Well, that didn't work and you really didn't want to spend your energy there. So you switched and you started doing this. And then, oh, well, this actually isn't a specialty of mine and I need to put it aside because I need to prioritize this. And then you shift again. So for me, I mean, evolving and shifting and pivoting is huge. And I think it's something that so many people fear or they're scared by. And I've learned to just embrace it. It's okay. I started a membership a couple of years ago during the COVID season, and I realized I didn't have the capacity to put into that and serve the clients the best I needed. So I quickly stopped, and that's okay. I don't see myself as a failure. I just see something not working and something else working better, and that's where I wanted to put my energy. So
Is that work that you had to do though to get to get to that point where you don't see yourself as a failure and you go, oh, okay, this just practically speaking it's not working. Did you have to get to that point to be able to think like that, or is that natural?
Both. I mean, for most people, I think that they would have to really adapt to that. But I grew up in sports and art and music, and all three of those come with a lot of adapting and growing and new teams and new teammates and new coaches and a lot of criticism and adjusting. And I don't know if you know this, but I'm still officiating high school basketball.
I just heard that on your podcast.
Yes, I started
Okay.
in 1999 doing that. That's kind of my part-time gig. I've always reffed basketball.
So many questions about this.
I know I added volleyball years later. So I do volleyball in the fall and basketball in the winter. But even then, as adults, we're going to camps. When I worked with the NCAA, you're literally being critiqued by multiple people on multiple courts with multiple films, looking at every angle, and you're talking about how your form can look better and how your body language and the words you speak with coaches and players and everything. So for me, it's just been a lifelong of me adapting and changing and being quick to change and accept it and to not think of it as such a personal, of course, I've gone through my seasons of you don't ever want to hear about correction. But whenever you start to see the benefits of not only like correcting something that's going to make you better, but even in like relationships or business stuff, when you start to see the benefits of something, you start to become a little addicted to it because you see the good outcomes and you know that the hard stuff is worth it.
Yeah.
So I think for me, it kind of became, maybe I don't use the word addiction. Maybe I need to find another word, but it became something I craved. I like change. It's going to grow me and I want to grow and I want to do better.
Yeah.
So why not accept it,
I love this, and I wrote down on my paper a little pattern that I'm hearing. Do, then adapt, then do, then adapt.
Yeah.
And okay, so how do you know when it's time to quote unquote stick it out? And how do you know when it's time to change?
Yeah, everyone's in such different seasons of their life, and none of it is right and none of it is wrong, right? It's just our own season, our own story, our own journey. And so I can't speak for anyone else, but I can speak for myself when I say you have to look at the season you're in, both personally and business, and you have to really prioritize what is the most important for you to be spending your time, your energy, and your finances on. And then more importantly, what do you want to be doing? Right? I don't want to wake up personally every day and spend all my money and my time doing something that's not fulfilling me. So there's a lot of things I think I want to do until I start. And I'm like, this just isn't providing the joy that I need in my life like I thought it would. And this over here, I think would. So I'm going to pivot and I'm going to see. And you kind of have to trial and error. You also have to look at your skills and then the success rate of you implementing it, right? So like for me, when I started implementing my membership, I was like, I don't have these skills or the time as a new mother to spend a lot of lives on social media or a lot of one-on-one type coaching in that season. So what would work for me? Maybe creating a course because I can spend a week or two doing that. And then it can be like an evergreen where it sells multiple times and I'm not having to show up. Because as a mom in a season where my kids are getting in activities, I don't have that time. So that's what I mean by figuring out what season are you in, what's important. For me, a good balance between my children being young and spending a lot of time in my personal life and my business is key for me. So if something's going to consume me on my business side, I'm going to let it go or lay it down for a little bit until I can pick it up when my kids are older.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm like, my brain is kind of reeling because I feel like you've said so many things that are really important, and specifically speaking to people who have their own businesses, and maybe even specifically moms.
Yeah.
Obviously, when you started your photography business, you probably weren't thinking like that initially. You were probably thinking like, oh, because when you're fresh out of college, you don't have kids. Like I've been, I've had times in my life where I had more capacity as well.
Yeah.
Um, but then obviously, as you say, the storms hit a few years ago and things got really rocky at sea. How did you manage that with your business? How did you
Well,
manage? I mean, and I can let my question rest there, or I can give more clarification. Let me know.
let's just say this. I don't think anyone really can plan out anything that happens in their life, right? We might have ideas. Oh, I want a family, or I want kids, or I want to have a business. But we kind of stop there when we're young and naive, and you don't really think about what it takes to be a mother alone, right? Or a business owner, especially with the perspectives of social media. We're looking from an outward perspective, watching people, and we're like, wow, they're so happy, they're traveling. You see the good, and you don't realize all the behind the scenes that's taking place and all the hard work that goes into any of it. And, in a lot of people's personal lives, they might not plan their pregnancies, or they might meet someone when they weren't expecting to. So I think a lot of us come with ideas of what we want our life to look like. But if we are not willing to evolve and adapt when things come our way, then not only are we going to be let down because we have set expectations too high in places that it might be unrealistic, but then we just won't be ready to like really truly embrace that season or that gift, or in my case, like some yucky stuff that I had to get through to lead me to my gifts and my purpose. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, I think so. And I mean, I'm guessing that because you're kind of a natural, at a lot of the things that I mean, I feel like on looking, you've just kind of always had this opportunity mindset of like, oh yeah, I'll add in the banana booth, or banana who booth. Am I
Yeah.
saying that right?
Diana Hubuth, yeah.
Which I just put two and two together when I was listening to your first episode. I was like, you said Jana Marie, Jana Banana, and then I was like,
Ah, there it
that's
is.
why she named it that. Okay, because for the last 10 years or however long you've had this booth, I'm thinking, Interesting name.
Yep, it is very bizarre. Everyone called me Jana Banana growing up, and I heard that knock knock joke thousands of times.
Yes, yes.
So with
Yeah.
my photography business, it was very much like a professional side of me, a very elegant, I was doing a lot of wedding focused things. So with my photo booth, I said, this is going to be my fun side.
The fun side.
That is something really bizarre that this can be named that, connects with me, but is also just fun and silly. And I kid you not, the very first thing that came to my mind was Banana Who. I don't know if I've just heard the joke enough, like
That's
Banana
so
Who? Like,
fun.
who is that? And then make them question who is Banana Who?
And
So
it actually, I mean, it fits because, like, I mean, imagining bringing in a booth, that is the fun, engaging, and it takes more, yeah,
yeah.
I love that.
There's
So,
multiple layers to me. So I think I was tired of always being elegant and, talking wedding things. I wanted a fun, colorful, kind of spunky, I can go to any event. And it's true. I've gone to festivals. I've gotten into some of the best parties in Kansas City. And I'm like, this is the layer of me that I needed to have also in my life.
for
But
sure.
it came at the request of my clients. I never wanted to do that.
Yeah, I think that was what I was kind of getting at with the idea that you're a natural, is that you had a way to expand your business offerings with
Yeah.
a kind of, obviously not residual, but kind of less hands-on vibe.
Look, I will tell you this. A lot of people ask me, why I do all these things. And I'm like, well, here's the thing. I want a lot of things and I want to experience a lot of things in my life. So why not figure out how to make it make you money? So
Yeah.
for me, I'm like, I've always wanted an Airstream. My clients were requesting a photo booth and I like to do things differently. So I was like, why don't I get an Airstream and make it a photo booth? So
So
now I have
you
what I
did
want.
that?
I did that. That was my first purchase was my Airstream. I put a photo booth in it. I travel in it. So as a wedding photographer, it's been really fun. I shot a wedding in Colorado. I traveled out in the Airstream, stayed the night in it, woke up the next day, flipped it into the photo booth, and then they used it as the photo booth. And I was like, this is the kind of entrepreneur I am. I'm like, how can something that I love make me money so I can do both?
Oh my gosh, find a way to I'm gonna have to go back and listen to how you said that the first time, because you're like, if you want to do it, find a way to have it make you money so you can do it. Like that is so brilliant, Jana. I love
Yeah,
that.
I mean, think about even in my photography career, as you've probably watched,
You
I
travel
love
to
to travel.
destinations.
I
Yes.
love to travel. I'm like, okay, if I love to travel and I like to take pictures and I'm shooting weddings, why not reach out to destination planners and start teaming up? And I'm not kidding you. When I'm traveling and shooting a wedding, I come alive because I'm in my element. I'm usually in nature. I'm in a new place I'm experiencing. And I'm also getting to interact more because instead of shooting a wedding day, I get 3 or 4 days with this couple and all their friends and family. I'm documenting more of like a storyteller. So I'm telling their story in the pool and at dinner and when they're playing game nights and they're going to karaoke. And it's
So
just,
fun.
yeah, I've gotten to know my clients more on a personal level and I love it. And that for me, like anything that I can connect with people on is going to be my biggest thing, right? Everything
Yeah.
else is just icing on the cake. So when I start putting all my loves together and I can make money doing it, like why the heck would we not want to think that way, you
Oh,
know?
that's awesome. I love that. Okay, so talk to me about like systems in your business for how you make it work through the seasons of life. Like you've got these kids.
Okay.
We've got
This
kids
is,
the same age actually, because I have kids that are in the same grades as your kids. And I'm like, I had no idea.
yeah.
Talk
You
to
know
me
what I
about.
think is cute about me and you though is that so when I first met you, you're a bit younger than me, but I was like, man, I feel like she's kind of my mini me. Like I
Yeah,
saw
I
me,
definitely
you know?
resonate with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many things you were interested in. You were originally interested in photography. I'm like, I love photography. And then you were kind of getting a little dabble into like event planning. And I'm like, well, that's an area I love too. I kind
Yeah.
of just followed you and I've admired you in every single thing you've done, even in volleyball. We connected on volleyball. You
That's
even know,
right. And
friends in the volleyball world that I've played with.
yeah, I'm playing tonight. I got a league tonight.
I love it. I love
Yeah,
it.
and I think it is cool because I mean, there were very similar in this interview isn't about me, but very similarly, there have been a lot of things that I've done, and many of them have been, I would say above the line of success. I wouldn't say wildly successful, certainly not. Photography, I did for several years and then shifted, and I didn't end because it wasn't working. I ended because I got passionate in other ways.
Yeah.
And then
And
event planning, same thing.
yeah.
But those things, even I'm thinking back of all the things that I got to do in my kind of throwing spaghetti at the wall eras.
Yeah.
And they really did and do aid me today, because I learned things through that season that you learn how to give great prompts. You are a great prompter in photography as well. Like by the way, you ask these questions, or you say, I still remember one of the pictures from our engagement. Sorry, I muted myself on accident. One of the pictures from our engagement session, you said whisper a word that like, you would never say or something. And I had never cussed a day in my life at that time. I was 19 years old, fresh off the iron, like, and I remember whispering in Eli's ear, like a word that I would never say. And to this day, that picture is one of my favorites. So
I
prompting,
know
you're really good
exactly the
at.
photo you're talking about, because
I'm like dying laughing, like blushing visibly.
it's the purpose of, giving an activity for your clients to do, because I don't know you like you both know each other, and then allowing you all to unfold that moment in a way that's not only going to be really memorable, but it's going to become you. And then every time you look at the photo, you remember that. And honestly, that's why I talk about doing those quite a bit, because I want you to look at that photo and be like, do you remember when?
Totally. It's
Have
an
it once.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so how fun that like in this moment, here I am getting to interview you and I'm asking you questions,
We've got to
that's,
pause again. I have a dying battery.
oh, you've got a dying battery on your computer. Oh, that's funny.
Okay, back at it, girl.
Okay, nice. So anyway, just saying the promptings and the questions, that I learned in some of those seasons also leading me into like this moment here, getting to ask you questions and hopefully bring out, this magic that you have. So let's talk about systems that you set up for your life, not knowing that the storms would hit, but so glad you did.
Yeah, I was not a systems geek prior to this. Now I'm quite obsessed, because I realized they did sustain me alongside supportive people. So when I was setting up my business, I was doing everything old school, right? Like I was just doing what I knew to do. Kind of like when you start anything, you only know what you know, so you do that. And then I remember being in a situation where I was out of town and a client was like, hey, can you send me the contract? And I said, oh my gosh, I've got it in my 3-ring binder back at home. And in my head, I'm like, I've got to evolve. We're in a new day, right? Like digital stuff is taking off. So I remember posting a question like, how can I send a digital contract to a client? That took me down the rabbit hole of finding all the client management systems and kind of diving into all of them to figure out what would work. And I found a newer company called Dubzado, and they had literally just started. They're about my age. They had new kids. Their kids actually helped them name it. That's why it's so fun. But I fell in love with this system, not only because I was just mind blown at the fact that everything I was doing manually that was taking me hours could be put into a program where not only everything's organized, so I have everything in one place, but my clients can see their organization in there via the portal. And then also they had everything set up automatically. So so many people refuse to do stuff like this because they're like, well, I want to be really personal. I want it to be authentic. I'm like, I understand that, because I am an authentic person too. But how many times are you emailing the exact same email with the exact same information to people every time? Therefore, if you just copy and paste it and put it in something that will send automatically and will change their name, it's no less authentic. It's still you. It's still your words. You're just saving your fingers typing it every time. So I really dove into their program because everything was automated and workflowed. You could set things up to work for your type of business and pause when you needed it to, and send things and reminders and emails when you needed it to. And because I did that and set that all up, I had lots of friends in the family saying, do you even work anymore? And I was like, you know what? I don't feel like it, because I now have this robotic secretary, is kind of what I refer to it as. Now the AI is around. I'm like, I have an AI assistant. and it
Right.
manages my entire business. And this is why this is so important to me, because you and I were talking about all the things we do, right? So I was a photographer, and then I started a photo booth company, and that's a separate beast. It's a different brand,
Right.
it's a different thing, and it comes with different workflows. And so then I was a referee, and then I was doing this, and then I said, okay, I cannot do all of this single-handedly.
Right.
Once I put all this stuff into systems and I made my business operate like a well-oiled machine, it was already ready for me to enter into this season of a lot of traumatic events that I went through personally. And I thought I would have drowned in my businesses, but it kept operating in the way that I set it up. And now, again, I didn't go into that saying like, I'm going to set these things up so that this can happen. And I didn't have that in
Right.
mind. I didn't know it was coming. But when I
Right.
look back now and people are like, how are you standing here? How did you do it? How did you sustain a whole family and your home and your business and how did you have time to grieve? I'm like, honestly, Dubzado changed my life. And when I say that like
Please
that,
tell me you have a code for them.
I do. I do.
Good. You'll put it in the show notes.
I will. And again, I'm not like an affiliate. I don't get paid with them, but when something impacts my life this much, when I can get my weekends back and be at soccer games with my kids, and I can be jumping on the trampoline when they get off school, and I can end my work an hour earlier than I was before I had kids, and I know that my business can still make me an income and I can jump on the trampoline. I sure as heck, I'm going to talk about this program.
Yeah.
Because doesn't everybody want to balance? Don't they all want their life back and their free time and their hobby time back and their time with friends and family? Like, that's what we all want. So if it works for me, I'm going to blast it to the universe.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Okay. So this basically took from instead of, and I would argue to say too, like you were more authentic because then it gave you time to actually talk to people and instead of writing the same email again.
All of it. I mean, my invoicing, my schedulings, my proposals, my
See,
contracts,
this
every
was what I
single
was going to
thing.
ask about. Yeah.
So what I did prior to that was kept a notebook by my computer. And every single day I started working, I would track where my time went because I had no idea. You just do things, you don't think about it. But I really wanted to see over the course of about a month or two where my time was going. And all of it was going to bookkeeping and financial stuff and emails and contracts. And I was like, that's not at all what I signed up for. I
Mm.
signed up to be a creative and a photographer and to do photo booth events. I do not want to be doing all the business stuff, but that's what we don't think about when we're thinking, oh, we want to run this business and have our free time. So for me, I said, okay, if I can get my time back, why would I not want to invest in that? I'm paying a little bit of money. The reward on my time is way greater. So I kind of rode that fence of, oh, I can't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
I pay for it. Once I did, I was like, that was the greatest investment I've ever made. One
Yeah.
of the programs that saved my life. But Dubzado is hands down something that gave me my time back.
Wow. And you just found them on like an online forum from asking the question.
I asked a question and people started listing their favorites and I dove into them. And I loved it more than anyone because it was so brandable. It looked so presentable. It was high quality. It was easy to navigate and it offered everything that a business needed to operate. So every single thing I possibly do is in there, if not Google.
Wow. There it is.
And they sync together. They operate together. So you have two perfect beasts working together.
A match made in heaven.
Sure.
What are all the offers you have currently?
What do you mean?
Like you have your photography, obviously.
All of my ventures,
What all of your what?
like all of my ventures, all my business stuff.
Yeah, like all the ways that people could hire you if they're listening to your podcast and they're like, okay, I love this girl. How can I bring her into my life? What are all the ways that they can get you in their world?
This is how I sum this up. I have an umbrella. It's called janamarie.co.
Okay.
And now when you land at janamarie.co, it says, this is who I am and this is what I do. Because I realized it started to get confusing. I do a lot of things. So I list all the things I do, and then you can click into whatever page you want from there. So I do wedding photography, portrait photography, travel photography. I have clients that pay me to travel with their family for 4th of July vacation, and I just document it. So anything that's like people documenting, I kind of have that side of my business. And then around 2020, when all shit hit the fan, I started more business stuff. So my heart and soul is for people, period. But I really love watching people build businesses and get that freedom back and have that balance. And because I live that life and it works for me, I want other people to have the same experience. So I really wanted to begin coaching businesses, not only on like how to set up businesses, like I thought courses for that could be awesome, and courses are coming. They really are. Now that I'm coming back to myself,
Yeah.
that stuff is in my head. It's ready to go. But I really wanted to teach people how to, photograph all the behind the scenes with their phones, these non-photographers, bakers, doulas, like whoever wanted to have content of their own. I watched what they were doing and I was like, I just need to teach them some basic skills with their phones. And that's a way that I can bring my expertise and my love for photography into my love for pushing people into building the business of their dreams. So that's kind of the side of it too. And you'll find that under that umbrella. Then I've got my photo booth and now my podcast.
Amazing. I love it. Oh my
It's a
gosh.
lot.
Thank you.
We have lots of hats on all the time, right?
Yeah. And
And then we've
mom
got the
and
moms. Yep. Yep.
yep. Let me ask you this to kind of end, because I know we kind of touched on this earlier, where I asked you how quickly you're willing to pivot and you said pretty quickly.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've recently noticed about myself that I think is and I'm actually working through this because I realize it's kind of holding me back, is kind of this fear of being seen as a feather in the wind, like being seen as someone who will chase any idea. And almost the word that comes closest to resonating in a painful way is scattered. Do you
Yeah.
feel afraid of being seen as that way? Being someone who's multifaceted?
Yes and no. I think people were naturally doing that because I was doing so many things. And depending on where I was either talking about basketball and volleyball because I was also
Right.
coaching college volleyball at the time. So I was in
Right.
the athletic world, I was in the creative world. So some groups I might be talking about business and photography. And I know that there was a point where I started seeing people scratch their heads and they were like, so what do you do? And I didn't really fear that, but I was like, oh, I
Okay.
just need to bring clarity. And someone told me this, and I don't know if it's accurate,
Okay.
but they say millionaires have about 7 sources of income. So 7 different either brands, either things that they've built or businesses that they're a part of. So for me, I was like, it's not so much about fearing that people are looking at me like I'm scattered. It's just I need to get really clear and
Mhm.
really target the people within each of those things. And that might not always be that my face is what represents that particular brand. I'm about to build a new little brand here on the side of my photography business that's more collaborative. And I was like, my face doesn't need to be the brand.
Right.
It's going to be a team. It can be another entity that operates and brings an income. So that doesn't mean that it needs to be confusing that, look, I'm also doing this, guys. It can be something that reaches its ideal client and it's successful without it being like Jana's just doing something else. You know what I mean?
Right. I do. And I think there's something to what two things that you said. The 7 streams of income don't all need to be started at the same time. You've evolved these over time. Started with
Mhm.
photography, added Banana Who, then added other things, which I think is really wise. And then secondly, yes, it doesn't have to be your personal brand is the only way it's getting attention. So let me ask you this. How do you plan to market your new thing without your face?
Well, and this is something that's kind of under wraps. So I won't talk a whole bunch in detail,
Yeah.
but because I'm such a team-based person, I never wanted to operate by myself. And that became my life right after college. I quickly went from all this team stuff to just Jana. Jana doing everything. Jana's her own boss. And while that's great, I really missed the collaborative piece in all the areas of my life. So now I'm thinking, okay, now that these systems are built and my life is back on track and I'm headed in the direction of my purpose and my joy and things that are giving me life, how can I now bring in people? I forgot your question. Like
Yeah,
going down around.
basically, how are you going to market? What's your strategy for marketing if it's not organic, your voice, your face?
Well, it'll just involve more people. We'll get to feature more people and their specialties and their creativity, and we'll get to do more things. It's my goal to do content days where 5 of us are together, and maybe I'm not even in it that day. I could be the one filming it or creatively directing it. I still have a piece in it, but it doesn't have to be all about me.
Yeah.
It's not going to be personal brands that always motivate me to build things, if that makes sense. I don't want everything to be about me. I want things to be about community and collaboration. So that means putting myself aside sometimes and letting other people kind of have glory when it's their time.
Yeah. Nice. I love
Yeah.
that. Thank you so much for sharing. And I know so
Yeah.
many things that you've shared have like already got my wheels turning. And I'm like, oh, that's such a great way to think about it and ways to see things. And yeah, just really appreciate you um specifically for seeing yourself and seeing your gifts and being willing to put them into the world when like it kind of has been such a storm for you lately, using your
Yeah,
words. And like that takes a lot of courage to put yourself back out there, back out here.
it does. But don't forget that quote. It's much easier to turn a moving ship than one that's sitting in the sand. So if you're going to remain stagnant, you're going to stay stuck. Just
Mm,
keep one foot in front of the other every day, and you will be directed. A window will open when a door closes, and you'll find the right path to get back on. So if that can be encouraging to someone, remember that quote.
absolutely. Thank you, Jana.
Yes, you're so wonderful. Wow, what a gift today's conversation was. From client to colleague to friend, Bethany reminds me that when we show up with intention and courage, the seeds we plant can grow in ways we never imagined. If this episode encouraged you, challenged you, or made you smile, would you do me a favor? Share it with someone who needs a reminder that their journey matters and that even the messiest moments can lead to something beautiful. Be sure to tag me at thedreamdoers.podcast and Bethany too at Bethany J. Shipley so we can hear what resonated with you most on today's chat. Don't forget to hit follow or leave a quick review. It helps more dream doers like you find this space and feel less alone in the climb. Until next time, keep dreaming and doing, and I'll see you back here soon for the next episode.